Peru's President Castillo ousted. Argentina's Vice President sentenced to 6 years. Volodymyr Zelenskyy named Person of the Year. Vladimir Putin has plans to flee to South America if he loses war. EU law will make airlines pay for pollution. Indonesia police station blast kills 2. EU may ban Chinese X-ray machines at borders. South Korean lawmakers raise concerns over Chinese voters.
Hello, I'm Wade Lee. Thank you for joining us on FUNDAY News. It is Thursday, December 8th, and here are your top stories. Hours after Peru's President Pedro Castillo ordered to dissolve the legislature by decree, Perus Congress voted to oust the president in an impeachment trial on Wednesday. Peru's prosecutor's officer in October filed a constitutional complaint against Castillo for allegedly leading a criminal organization to profit from state contracts and for obstructing investigation. Peru's national police shared an image on Twitter of Castillo referring to him as ex-president. It was unclear if he had been detained.
Pedro Castillo fue destituido como presidente de Perú, lo votó el Congreso hace apenas
On Wednesday, Castillo earlier said he would temporarily shut down Congress, launch a government of exception, and call for new legislative elections. Ignoring Castillo's attempt to shut down Congress, lawmakers moved ahead with the previously planned impeachment trial, with 101 votes in favor of removing him, 6 against, and 10 abstentions. The result was announced with loud cheers, and the legislature called Vice President Dina Boluarte to take office.
Argentina's Vice President and former President Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner has been sentenced to 6 years in prison and given a lifelong ban on holding public office after being found guilty in a $1 billion fraud case related to public works. She was found guilty of fraud on Tuesday, though it's unlikely for her to serve any prison time soon, as she has immunity due to her government roles and is expected to launch a lengthy appeal process that could take years.
Former Argentine President Cristina Fernandez has been charged with treason.
Fernandez de Kirchner was accused of arranging for 51 public works contracts in the Patagonian province of Santa Cruz to be awarded to a company belonging to a friend and business associate of her late husband, former President Nestor Kirchner. The sentence marked the first time an Argentinian vice president has been convicted of a crime while in office. Fernandez de Kirchner was president of Argentina for 2 terms between 2010 and 2015, and many had expected her to run for president next year.
Time magazine has named Volodymyr Zelenskyy the Ukrainian leader whose attempt to fight off Russia's invasion of his country and who's received widespread acclaim as its Person of the Year, alongside the spirit of Ukraine. Editor-in-chief of Time, Edward Felsenthal, said Wednesday, "Whether the battle of Ukraine fills one with hope or with fear, Volodymyr Zelenskyy galvanized the world in a way we haven't seen in decades." He told the U.S., "The fight is here. I need ammunition, not a ride."
The president made a surprise visit to Kherson, the largest city retaken to date from Russia.
Felsenthal of Time said in the weeks after Russian bombs began falling on February 24th, his decision not to flee Kyiv but to stay and rally support was fateful. From his first 40-second Instagram post on February 25th, showing that his cabinet and civil society were intact and in place, to daily speeches delivered remotely to the likes of Houses of Parliament, the World Bank, and the Grammy Awards, Ukraine's president was everywhere. Felsenthal also said the spirit of Ukraine was embodied by countless individuals inside and outside the country.
According to the UK media outlet Metro, Vladimir Putin's cronies have a secret plan to help him flee to South America if Russia loses the war in Ukraine. A former ally claimed in the plot, which has been dubbed Operation Noah's Ark, his family and other close members of his entourage will reportedly flee to Argentina or Venezuela. A high-profile scientist and supporter of the Russian president, Mikhail Kovalchuk, reportedly pitched China as an option, but the Kremlin decided against it, because the Chinese do not like losers.
We are into the fourth week of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and with Ukraine's surprising resistance,
The media said that the latest information comes from Abbas Galyamov, Mr. Putin's speechwriter between 2008 and 2010, who is now based in Israel and is critical of the Kremlin. He said, "Normally I do not share insider stories, but today will be an exception. First of all, I really trust the source, and secondly, the information is way too racy. The project was about searching for new lands if the situation in the motherland ceases being cozy. Putin's circle believes it is possible he might."
Oh, it's very easy. My name is Johnny. I have 3 people in my family. My favorite book is Harry Potter.
The European Union reached a deal in the early hours of Wednesday on a law to increase the price that airlines have to pay when they emit planet-heating carbon dioxide emissions, adding pressure to the sector to shift away from fossil fuels. That will mean airlines will have to pay for their CO2 permits, providing a financial incentive for them to pollute less. EU countries and the bloc's parliament will now formally approve the law before it takes effect.
The EU has so far limited its carbon market to covering emissions from flights within the EU, but negotiators agreed to assess in 2026 whether the UN Aviation Agency (ICAO) scheme to offset international flight CO2 emissions is on track to deliver net zero emissions by 2050. And if it is not, the EU will propose extending its carbon market to cover emissions from all departing flights. Airlines will also have to start reporting other pollutants, including nitrogen oxides and soot particles, from 2025.
Indonesian authorities said on Wednesday that 2 people were killed and 8 others wounded when a suspect Islamic militant carrying a knife blew himself up shortly after entering a police station in the city of Bandung. A spokesperson for the West Java police said the attack killed the suspect perpetrator and 1 officer, and wounded 8 others, including officers and 1 civilian. The National Police said Bandung police were coordinating with the counter-terrorism unit to investigate the incident.
Indonesia's counterterrorism agency BNPT told Metro TV that the Islamic State-inspired Jalma Ansarut Daulah (JAD) group may have been behind the attack. Footage from social media showed damage to the police station, with some debris from the building on the ground and smoke rising from the scene. The media said Islamic militants have in recent years carried out attacks in the world's largest Muslim majority nation, including at churches, police stations, and venues frequented by foreigners.
In a letter to the European Commission, European lawmakers are warning that a €1 billion fund for European Union customs control equipment should not allow bids from NewTek, a Chinese state-owned manufacturer. They said any deal for NewTek to provide scanning equipment risks national security and could allow information on goods and travelers to fall into the hands of the Chinese government.
NewTek makes X-ray machines, scanners, and explosive detection systems and was led for years by the son of former Chinese leader Hu Jintao. The letter said, using EU funds to further solidify NewTek's presence in Europe's critical infrastructure represents a unique opportunity for the company and the Chinese government to gather sensitive customs data that could be detrimental to the commercial and security interests of EU member states. The CCEI provides funds for countries to buy technology along the EU's external borders.
Members of South Korea's ruling Conservative Party have proposed a bill that would place tighter restrictions on the voting rights of foreign permanent residents in local elections, which they insist is necessary to protect the country's democracy from being undermined by Chinese voters. People Power Party lawmaker Kwon Song-dong said Tuesday there's significant public concern over the political influence of Chinese nationals, who accounted for nearly 100,000 of the 127,600 foreigners with voting rights as of March.
Under current law, foreign nationals with at least 3 years of permanent residency are eligible to vote for mayors, governors, and local council members. The bill, submitted by Kuhn and 17 other members of his party, limits voting rights to foreigners who have lived in South Korea for at least 5 years after becoming permanent residents and are from countries which, by treaty or similar agreements, also allow South Korean permanent residents to vote in their elections.
FUNDAY News will help sharpen your English skill while keeping you informed on current international events. Tune into our other FUNDAY programs to learn more about the world's most important topics in English. Click the link below now to join FUNDAY for free. I'm Wade Lee, your host. I'll see you next time.